Alright folks, we are doing another Eye in the Sky, and it is a map I actually like. Whoa, let's stay in bounds and make it try to look nice. We are on Roulette Lane. We're in a pub match. We are at 300 already, the start of the round. We can see the CSA. They are attacking on this map. They are choosing, I would say, a pretty meta way of going around those buildings, more or less sticking together. We'll see what they do on the backside of that barn, if they'll opt for the woods or they're going to come straight in. We'll see. The Union with a fairly standard defense so far. They're moving now. Maybe this is changed. In the past, I would see the Union opt for the artillery wall. This is one of the very few maps where it actually worked. And basically, the Union would create a kind of, I'll just put it in American English, cordon sanitaire. You know what I meant if you actually know French. But they would create you know what's better, a kind of empty killing field here by moving the guns and the caissons over to here, and then they would stack up on the fixed caissons and the mobile ones, and they would overwatch the point. They'd sit down where they are there, but pretty much this is the Union's job, is to hold this snake fence. With some exception, if the Union holds this snake fence, they're gonna win. We've had so we no longer have the 500-man test server, but we had the recent update that improved ballistics, added some scoped rifles. Nice shot there. This is one of those where defenders only have artillery, and artillery can actually be really significant as long as the defenders can hold it. The attackers have none. But the improved ballistics basically reduce the inaccuracy of guns. Apparently the kind of RNG factor of the previous guns was meant to simulate the kind of historical range of quality of ammo, and now they've pretty much reduced it to, I guess it's like assuming that the ammo is just working, and therefore the range of missing, like the kind of RNG of just the shot not going where you aimed it, has been reduced. And so all things being equal, the shooting is more equal. Now the CSA, they have one, okay, so they have two companies pressing up here pretty much at the edge of the map. I guess if it goes bad, the flags could go out, but I think you could probably keep them in. Now unfortunately that company is a bit slow, and there is a fourth company that is question marked out. Okay. The CSA has opted to stop the reload. Now you did, I think it was Cornwallis we heard overhead, who reminded his men, the CSA has 1842s on this map. The Union, I don't believe, has any. And so at close range, the CSA has a significant advantage. No sharps, no cav, no pistols like that. It's just officers. The Union artillery has one additional officer because of the artillery officer, but that's about it. So far this meta has changed where the defenders are coming out of that snake fence. They're moving up. They're getting a lot more aggressive in denying the CSA this definitely. Usually the Union was happy to just sit back here, skirm with them. Sometimes a lot. Again, last time I was watching this a couple months ago and I was doing this stuff more regularly, they would come up, sit in these fences, and then they'd eventually fall back to about their caisson wall, which would be back here. It was not prime range for the 1842s. I thought maybe with this whole meta, now that you can destroy snake fences far more easily, well, now that you can just destroy them with artillery, you can move guns through. I thought maybe they were just going to run canister to the Napoleons and just feed that into this field, but they brought two guns already. They seem really intent on denying the CSA this defilade, which to me never really felt like a winning proposition. Again, the Union opting to come out of over the snake fence and to come there rather than using the fence or even using the wall. Because of the time it takes you to hop over, I mean, as long as you could check your backside, if I were that company, I'd wonder about the soft cover slash hard cover of that stone wall slash straight fence, and then bailing. But again, I'm new to how the meta has evolved in the last couple of months.
Hey guys, listen.
In the best way possible. Pubs is like a petri dish. Stuff gets tried all the time, and some of it works and some of it doesn't. We have some pretty really good officers on both sides tonight. We have Joseph D, we have Agrippa, we have Cornwallis. Not familiar with our elite. The pub commander. Some of these other folks I've seen lead more recently, but they're not one of the old hands that I'd recognize. So anyways, last round I actually played first person for the last 10 minutes or so, attacking on Otto and Sherrick, and it was an absolute stomp there. So I don't know what that's attributable to. The game, I think, still is on sale, and so we've had an influx on both sides, but that should be symmetrical. Maybe it hurts defenders more on average because of Ramboing and formation and stuff like that, but I think, and it's been a running theme in several of these recent videos I've done, if I see who the officers are when I come into a round, and I know the map, I have a pretty good idea of what side I think is favored to win, right? Favored to win doesn't mean they win, but I think the odds are that they might win. Am I really missing something here? Am I missing a CSA company somewhere? No. Okay, so we got 4 officers back here. I just kept seeing 2 or 3 flags. 3 flags is what I saw before. We have 1 there. Okay, and we got 3 there. All right. So the CSA is just getting healthy. They're going to get their full numbers up. But this is where the Union wants to be. This is their relative advantage. If you don't have 42s, your advantage is shooting over open ground. The CSAs will be at close range. Man. I would just hate if you lose this as the Union. You lose 3 guns, but only 1 caisson. And you get 3 guns back here, and it looks like you have a bunch of caissons. The ultra mini caisson wall is up. I'm not actually sure. I think that probably has more to do with running ammo here than a serious caisson wall. But we will see. Apparently the Union thinks that they can see into those woods. Somebody said they see them coming out. I see them coming out. Yeah, you want to fire while they're coming as soon as you have an accurate shot so that you can potentially get your reload in and fire a second time before melee. I know a lot of people think that the ballistics update has kind of helped defenders. I wonder if it wasn't the 500-man servers and the much longer tails of these somewhat longer tails of those charge lines that was actually helping the defenders who just have more time to reload. That Union group has squared off. This is an absolute romp for through the first. Well, it's really only been about 6-7 minutes of heavy fighting, so there's a lot of battling left. CSA did not lose any flags, but that was not. Excuse me, not at all a profitable charge.
Keep shooting. I thought we got up the line.
CSA is gonna maybe have to put their thinking caps on because that was a pretty full push charge, right? And they barely got any guys up here to the Union line. The barn is definitely a solid. Is this CSA in the barn? It should be. All right, so they got 2 flags in here.
I'm not a smart man.
All right, company.
Yeah, I know the feeling. Now there are some. There's nothing that faces this way. Okay, maybe you can shoot through those planks. I don't know. Downstairs, we'll just we'll do it the easy way. You do have. Whoa. Okay, it's hard to finagle this here. Yeah, you can do the open door thing, but you can actually shoot through these windows just fine. And the Union is all up there, right? So we can see because we can hit T. Pretty sure you can open that door And if you know to park yourselves down here as the attackers, defenders aren't going to love this. It's not going to be a great deal. You do get super suppressed. Well, at least you used to in buildings more than you would than just normally being in skirmishing. Looks like maybe the CSA was a little frustrated by that, and so they have to do the unfun thing of running while your enemy can shoot you. Their hope here, I guess, is that they're going to spread out the Union. But the Union has interior lines here. And so unless the CSA does an excellent job, you need like really super synchronized charging that usually doesn't happen in organized play. What the Union will actually do is be able to defeat you piecemeal. And they get a stone wall. Yeah, you got the cabin there, which is nice. But what are you going to be able to shoot out of? The windows, where, again, that suppression does take a toll. The doorway, all right, maybe you can peek around the side. You see the officer out here. He is not being well followed, and he does not have a large line. If this Union group was ambitious, and there's no reason they have to be because they're winning, I think they could, well, I was going to say wipe that group and knock their flag down.
Use your words and tell me what you see. I'm not going to go with you.
You know what? If it's working, why change it? The Union seems unfooled. You know, for CSA to have buck and ball, this is a great, wow, this is a better spot. This is more your range. For those who have the ranged options, the barn is better.
They're not moving. They're not moving. They're not falling back to reload. They're just sitting there.
You know, this skirmish is actually kind of, well, it seems like it's pulled back the relative ticket difference a bit. Oh, I'm sorry. I thought that's the voice I heard before explaining the shotgun. I thought it was Cornwallis. It was Agrippa. My 1,000 apologies to. It's not really an insult to anybody, but so that's Modelhart, and I guess Cornwallis is not leading this round. Yeah, the Union is very, very fortunate for the officers it has on this round. They are very good. Some of them I recognized from months and months ago, and others I've seen it lead usually to good effect here recently. So they're like, yeah, this CSA group, if nothing else, they've, I guess, tied down a bunch of probably way more Union looking at them than they need to. Yeah. The CSA here might be looking to build up, and the more conventional thing is that they'll come around right where those guys are peeking, if you don't know this map, and it's a relatively short distance to this corner, and then they'll try to steal the corner, shoot down it to deny the hard cover the Union has now. And a lot of times Artie might aim up for anywhere along that path, because that's one of the more fruitful paths for the CSA. The gun's up here.
They must have moved further back.
They don't seem concerned with that. They could have the angle if they wanted it. And I believe artillery can still rip through those barns no problem, but we're gonna try to set up here. I'll try to press T as little as possible so that we can get a quasi-cinematic here with my voiceover interrupting it. You can hear the Union talking about it. They know the play. We haven't heard the Union go taking losses, or at least, taking losses, my goodness, engaged yet. At least I haven't. The Union already is playing it safe. They'd rather run the ammo than, I hear a bunch of shooting. Wonder if there's a movement over here. Play it conservative, and again, as long as you're up, you don't really have to take risks. And you can see now the CSA start, well, they built up very little. They're actually, I think, in the wagon part of that barn. A proto garage, we'll say. Has the Union gone? Yeah, I just missed it. So actually for the CSA, it may not feel like the most fun. I think the relative ticket rate is closing ever so slightly, even though this is the Union's distance. That shows you a little bit about the tickets on this map. The Union can play it as defensive as they want. Artillery support, non-1842s. Shooting the CSA, and yet the CSA is slowly clawing those tickets back. It looks like the CSA was about 40%. The Union was maybe 70%. That's left in engage, so the Union is still up in the relative ticket position, but it seems much better for the CSA than when they were just running while they were running into the Union while the Union shot them. Alright, we got two CSA groups. Well, Union already found one of the officers, but two CSA groups back there. One over there. One over there. And that group over there looks like they've pulled them. Well, I hope your ears enjoyed that hiatus because I got called away. But I'm here now, and I think you got the gist. It looks like it was a it's a failed charge. By the look of the tickets and the absence of CSA stars, it looks like they must have dragged the Union somewhere over here with something. Guessing the CSA has its flags up though, and they're not all spawning main. 1, 2, yeah. Welcome to my world, man. Is this a? No, that couldn't have been a. Oh, that's a CSA flag. Oh, that's bad. They gotta get that. They gotta get that flag out. This group looks like you got a lot more Union in here, and all they need is one of those officers, and they all kind of know what to do, and they're doing it now. They're gonna try and knock that flag down. Alright, so Union doesn't want to get too crazy. I mean, the CSA that's over here could see any sort of mass over pursuit. Yeah, and it's not going to be a mass over pursuit. CSA is not going to be lured out. So we got a bit of an advantage. for the Union. I don't know what it is. About 10, 15% less of engaged, maybe 15% of taking losses. I don't know. Depends on what you want to believe. I guess maybe 25, 30% of one level ticket advantage for the Union. So not insurmountable for the CSA. I'm guessing that was the Artie shot. I guess maybe they're opting for direct line of sight on the flags from over here, rather than just kind of knowing where it is and shooting through the barn, which is fine. I mean, you know, the Union has a fine lead wall, which is much better than the snake fence. Lead walls are always preferable. Huh. See a group coming out of spawn, probably to get up with that flag that got pushed back into the woods. Wonder if they're just throwing shells through that cabin there. I mean, there's a decent buildup behind the cabin, but it looks like a lot of them are just reloading and trying not to die. It's funny how this map has evolved. This used to be such a melee fest that the CSA would bring on, but as the numbers have grown on the servers, this has nothing to do with the super recent update. I think it has much more to do with the overall number of folks on the server. It allows the Union to man most of the angles so that rather than moving, they can just be shooting. At least some of them can at the CSA. It also allows them to put men on the gun, on the artillery, without facing an insurmountable disadvantage in melee. And so I suspect that has something to do with it. But the ballistics isn't going to hurt. I mean, if you're the side with the more accurate long-range rifles, you should do better when you're shooting at long range. There's no real surprises there. I'm a little surprised that more of the CSA haven't dropped back. We started. Looks like maybe there's one or so back here. They're taking pot shots. You can, by the way, you can get up on this roof if you choose to, and yeah, people stand on the chimney and stuff, and you could try to shoot down. I don't know that it does all that much good, but it makes you an interesting target, and you tend to attract a lot of attention. But I think for the CSA, they got to pull the relative tickets a little bit closer so that they know they can get the Union in the last stand and potentially kill them through it before they run out of time. I think with about a half morale stage lead, the CSA with about 40% left of taking losses, the Union about 90%. It's too far. It's too much for the CSA to be able to overcome, and for them, they don't really have to worry about anything until they get down late into breaking. So they're regulating their aggression just fine. You know, as the defenders, you always got to be more concerned, because once you go breaking, at any point after that, losing cap on point means you'll lose the round. So I have a feeling as soon as I do this, we're gonna miss stuff, but I'm gonna do it at some point. Take a quick check on the ammo. So that's a rifle gun caisson that's full. That says 12 pound and it's empty. That looks like a rifled gun and it's full. That snuck up on me, I swear. That is a rifled gun and it's almost full. So it looks like the rifled guns are fine on ammo. The Napoleons look like, well, they're not out of ammo, but they're getting low. If they're primarily running the, they brought a rifled gun over here too.
Yeah, they need to
I get it. I don't think swinging out wide is going to do too much. Famous last words, but... One of the nice things for the Union, not only do they have the interior lines and pretty good cover, but because it's a relatively short distance, unless the fences and walls are putting them out of formation, their deaths should generally be in formation. I guess the CSA group in the woods is just opting for extremely long volleys.
Head's gonna reload too fast.
I don't see shit from here.
Make sure to stand
Oh,
on
they're on top of the hill.
Don't move from it, brother.
I mean, there are some CSA casualties, not that many.
Lovely shield.
And it's hard to see how many are dropping. And we might have just left the group that was the target of CSA.
Outside of the view of this barn. Company, left face. Oh, let's get on. Big aim. Steady. Fire.
Yeah, it's still hard to see kind of what the target of that was. Union is kind of broken up into two groups. They've gone thick over here. I guess they were worried about the CSA charging the corner here, but it doesn't seem to be a big deal. But like a lot of these Union casualties should be all in formation. Perhaps not at the flanks, but I think they probably are. If you play this game, don't deal with those guys. Don't be kneeling. You might have meat shields directly in front of you. Though watching this, I realize a lot of times people the second and third rank get hit, while others don't. A little bit of friendly violence there. Anyways, but all the guys who come out of here, they can kill you. And it looks like you have a very weak charge.
Good work, guys. Just keep it up.
It's hard to believe that this was ordered. It's gonna be a bunch of. It could be a bunch of out of formation deaths.
Yeah, maintain the wall. Use as much of the wall as you can. I don't really know where those guys went or what they're at.
I don't either. I do.
Everybody, get back. Everybody, pull back.
It's the CSA going breaking down about half a morale stage.
Probably be better to have you watch it. Okay. On the wall now. Indiana B. We're going back up.
No. Ari Lee's company's been there the whole time. The one CSA company came out here to do a little peak volley that I don't think was too effective.
Fire. Base, double play.
Might have hit something up there.
On the line.
Huh.
Space it out right now.
Well, yeah, everybody's pretty much where we left them. Yeah, this is just a very different roulette lane. It's not necessarily worse. There's less action. But that's, you know, it's a shooting war, so it's a shooting game. That makes sense. Game before this was a little bit too much on melee. And melee, there's a little bit of skill involved, but the skill matters more at the higher levels. It's about coordinating melees. And I think relatively too many casualties are done in melee. And so it's a Civil War shooting game. All right, so we got a fat, I think they team killed their own flag. Maybe not, but that's rough. But with the improved ballistics, so that, you know, we're just assuming everybody's ammo is like what it should be. Yeah, I think that's a little bit better. I don't know that it's necessarily more new player friendly. I mean, right? If you know where to aim, but there's a variation, now the variation is reduced, so I'm not too sure about that one, but I think it's fine. Oh my goodness. I just wonder if it's an impatient group. Well, it's someone who should know better, and others who you wouldn't expect to.
Shoot the left side of that red barn. Left side of the red barn.
But
You can also shoot the center of the right side.
yeah, it's tough to see if the CSA has really made much progress against the Union's tickets here. Union's got about, I don't know, 20-25% left of taking losses. CSA is about 15-20% of the way through breaking. So maybe this is just about where the CSA wants it. I think if you're the Union, you know that eventually the CSA is probably going to charge from over here. This just seems like it's going to go so badly. Even if everybody ends up coming out together, I think they're just going to get obliterated if that group is still there. And so then you got to hope that the 3 companies over here have better luck against those artillery pieces and the infantry that's up. Honestly, the infantry up here looks a little light. You got a company here, but there's a lot of casualties on the ground. Now all those guys are standing. Yeah, it's feeling a bit light over here. All right, so the Union can't lose cap for the next 11 minutes. And I guess this gives us our best view of the relative casualties. Yeah, the CSA has slowly pulled it back. I would say it's about a 30% difference on the attackers, and so maybe you just keep whittling them down for the next 5-6 minutes. And then if you go final push, you don't really lose anything off the black timer.
Alrighty, everyone, get in a nice, neat line, single file line, make it as pretty as possible.
Shoot that right side. Shoot that right side. Shooting. Good shooting.
They seem to be aiming for the arty guys who are probably dying in skirmishing, because they tend to operate in 2-3 man groups, something like that. If there isn't friendly infantry to support them, they're not going to be in formation when they die. Again, yeah, that kind of stuff kills the defenders, particularly in this map where I think their tickets are really limited based on how this skirmish has gone. They've always been rough for the Union. You can see the CSA, they're pushing 1 company behind the barn. It looks like they're going to bring 2 out the long way. They're going to do the dreaded cross streams. I don't know if the artillery sees this. They don't. How do they not see this? Well, I know that I'm the disembodied. I don't understand the point of crossing, right? If you're going to send those 2 up here, have the 3rd company snake in behind it, right? Because then you only have to win up here and keep pushing. I think the Union's won on the high ground. The relative tickets we'll take a look at. There's absolutely nothing here that they really cared about. I know we didn't check the corner. Yeah, there's nothing here. And so then the only thing you got to check is the corner. The CSA won the corner. They're capping. And the rest of the Union is going to probably come down and wipe them. The CSA with that has... let's just wait and see how this plays out. But man, CSA is much thicker on point for 1 company that came out of the woods. That is much, much more than I thought. Alright, so it's even cap, and it's going the CSA's way. the Union already just inexplicably decided to team kill. And, alright, that shot went through. CSA has 2 flags on the point. 2 flags down, including one way back behind the barn. I can't believe that there's no one there. Union's in a fair amount of trouble here, and they shouldn't be.
Hey, baby girl.
Alright, Union is recapped. CSA got their 2 flags out that were on point. They probably won't get the one that's killed up the hill here. They should get the one behind the barn. CSA, the problem is they're almost in final push. Luckily for them, they didn't go final push at the very end of... Oh, no. Are they going to try to... Oh, my goodness. What was that group thing? So another CSA group came in with a flag and not much more and got killed also by the red barn. The CSA looks like maybe it's 10% away from going final push, but the Union now is also about 10-15%. So that was the CSA going final push. The Union is not far from going last stand. It's 2.5 minutes. So for the defenders, they are lucky that most of the CSA is back in spawn. So, and they're still spawning in. So I would say for the CSA, what they have to do is they have to get their flags. They have the 1 flag under, I think this is Lee's company. They have to start sending in fairly soon. Get at least the other 2 flags up, the Union at all hazards. I would say go last stand to keep those flags down. The CSA got one. No, they didn't. They got one of their flags up and then they ran it into the orchard closer to the Union line and died. So yeah, the CSA at this point pretty much has to YOLO. Oh, they're going the long way. They're going up towards the White House. Sorry, there's a group at the White House that's now coming down. I think they're going to end up probably because of time. They have to come down here. They got a funnel down here. The Union doesn't have the best shots on this group. All right. So the CSA is pretty full here on the Union right. Union's next casualty or 2 is going to put them in last stand with a minute left, minute 10 left. But usually as the attackers, you want them in last stand with more than 3 minutes.
As soon as we go last stand, guys,
Union already gets a shot, breaks up the attack a little bit. All right, CSA is in last stand with 54 seconds left.
let's go. Nobody should be up here no more.
The Union needs to countercharge very soon. The CSA is almost done with this charge. Yep, the Union just needs to get itself together. Again, they should know that there shouldn't be anybody up top. CSA was not going to seriously... Oh, Union already, that is up top, kills everybody except for the last 2 CSA. Flag bearers. Union, yep. That's what the Union needs to do. Union's a little thin on point, but they definitely have the numbers. They got to push this group off, hold for 7 more seconds. All right, and that is G. The Union holds on Roulette Lane. That is a fun one. Well, it's been a fun one historically, and certainly if you like shooting, that was a fun one. But the CSA came close, but they probably needed to pull it a little bit closer. Kind of unraveled a bit towards the end. And the Union was able to edge it out for the win. So let's take a look at the casualties here. And then we'll head on out. For some reason, earlier today, my dude I was playing and just got killed at the end of a round in last stand in melee. Spectated the last 2 rounds, as you do when you die in last stand. And my dude was panting the entire time. And now at the end of every round, I'm just panting the entire time. I don't know why. I didn't play this in first person, this round at all in first person. All right, you see what it is. CSA took 1,600, almost 1,200 for the Union. The you know, the skirmishing, all right, so the CSA was up by 100. Yeah, they took more out of lines. I'm a little surprised given the amount of long-range shooting that the CSA had that many more out-of-formation deaths. But it happens, and it's rough. All right, that was a fun one for me. I hope you enjoyed it, and hope to have you back for more of these.